Alabama State and Jackson State both make top 11 for one of the top players in the country. We're going to talk about that and what it could mean to either one of these programs if they were able to land this young man's services at the collegiate level. We'll talk about it right after the bumper. What is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr here with the Black Boss channel and Victor Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. Now, one of the top players in the entire country put out a top 11. And in his top 11, he included not one, but two SWAC schools. Two SWAC schools make the top 11 for one of the best players in the country in the class of 2023. His name is... He goes by the name of James Smith, Mr. James Smith. He is from Montgomery, Alabama, so that gives you a little clue. And here is his top 11 according to Twitter. Well, he posted on his Instagram. I'm seeing it on Twitter. He plays for IMG Academy. He's got Florida, Ohio State. That is an Alabama State logo next to the USC, and then the Jackson State, and included in there also the Alabama schools in Bama, Auburn. You got Georgia, Texas A&M, and Texas. And rounding out the top 11 is Miami. This is a 5-star, big time 5-star from the state of Alabama. Let me go ahead and show you this young man's 247, a recruiting page. And this is kind of lets you know what kind of player this young man is. James Smith from Montgomery, Alabama. Now they have him. I guess I don't know if he transferred back to the state of Alabama at Carver High School, but I know he last played at IMG Academy down in Florida. He's a consensus five-star from the 24/7 composite. They have him as a 4-star, but that doesn't make sense because they have him as a number 11 player in the country, the number 1 player in the state of Alabama. This is a 5-star prospect, 6'4", 310 pounds, just wrapped up his junior season, is a rising senior in the class of 2023. Now, this is a mammoth of a prospect. You want to know why I know this is a big time deal for both ASU and JSU to make the top 11 for this young man? Because look at the schools. We already looked at the top 11. But when you start seeing who these young men are recruited by, that means these schools aren't playing games. It means they're really trying to get this young man a part of their class in Alabama and Auburn, because the young man is based out of Montgomery, Alabama. Not only do they have a primary recruiter, but they both have secondary recruiters. And that lets us know, because once again, it's hard enough. Like pretty much most prospects, especially the big time prospects, have primary recruiters. And then for the schools that really want them, they have secondary recruiters. And so that's kind of how the recruiting game works. It's very hard. Well, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's not often that you get those names and get to post them on recruiting sites, because we're not always, privy to that knowledge. But the fact that we know not only do Alabama and Auburn both have primary and secondary recruiters, we actually know the names. And then primary recruiters out there for Arkansas and Florida State as well. Now, those schools weren't included on the top 11, so maybe they backed off a little bit. But JSU and Alabama State were. Now, we saw the attention that the number 1 player in the country, Travis Hunter, did for Jackson State. I mean, he's done as far as just exposure. And then he got out there in the spring game and kind of went crazy and viral on every page that reposted him. He was that special. If you could land a guy like this at Alabama State, from Montgomery, right there, staying home to play for the HBCU there, with the way Coach Robinson is recruiting, now granted, he has to put the product on the field. He's made some great hires, and he's been recruiting his tail off as far as via the transfer portal mostly. But if he's able to add a player of James Smith's caliber to steal him, well, essentially, that's what they'd be calling it. And he wouldn't be stealing anything. He hadn't signed anywhere. But to get him away from the Crimson Tide, and to get him away from Auburn, and to get him away from Texas A&M, who just had like the greatest recruiting class ever in the class of 2022, statistically, as far as numbers wise, star rankings and all that stuff. Woo! Now that would be a headline grabber because it'd be the second year in a row that a 5-star player would choose a SWAC HBCU over every other school in the country. Did it last year with Travis Hunter? If James Smith, who included 2 SWAC schools, not just Alabama State, but also Jackson State, in his top 11, that would be big. That would be massive. I would love for it to happen. I would love for it to happen because, like I said, there's never been, before last year, before Travis Hunter, there had never been a 5-star in the modern day recruiting rankings era to sign with an FCS school, let alone a HBCU school. And if we could pull that off in back-to-back classes, can't tell me we're not headed in the right direction. Now, Coach Robinson, he's got to put a good, if he wants a chance, he's got to put a good product on the field because right now he's selling recruits on dreams. I've talked about this with Hugh Jackson because they haven't coached a game yet. That's the advantage that Prime has. Prime actually not only has coached games, he's actually had success fairly quickly. Success as far as marketing, success as far as exposure, and success, most importantly, on the field. SWAC champions, SWAC East champions. Now, they went to the Celebration Bowl and got beat up on, but that's the motivation going into this season. Coach Robinson hasn't coached a game yet. He's recruited his tail off on paper, and he's made some good hires, I believe. But now he's got to go out there and put the product on the field that'll be attractive to high-level players. Guess we'll have to wait and see. I said the same thing about Coach Jackson. They're selling dreams right now, but those dreams could quickly turn into reality if they're able to have some success on the field starting this fall. Coach Prime, you just got to go out there and continue to do you. Continue to bring those eyeballs, continue to win, continue to showcase the best players on the biggest and brightest stages, and you'll be able to continue your recruiting success. It is a joy to see these things happening in SWAC football. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below on whether Mr. James Smith, if you think Mr. James Smith, with all those big-time suitors, is seriously considering Alabama State and Jackson State, and whether you think he'll end up at an HBCU. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss channel. Hit that thumbs up button before you leave. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JLightsy7. I post all my content there. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.